Greetings, and thanks for tuning in to the message today from the Fountain of Life, Grace Springs Church.
The choices you make, right from the time you are old to make a decision. When a child is, by the time a child is old enough to start to decide, all the way until the time they leave this planet Earth, everything they do is based on the choice they make. Ultimately, the power of choice and consequences come down to the fact that our lives are shaped by the decisions we make. Our lives are shaped by the decisions we make. Now, from the time you wake up in the morning until the time you go back to bed, your life is made up of choices all through the day and all through your life. We choose who to marry. And so we say what the Lord has joined together, let no man put asunder. And some people charge at me and say that, what if the Lord does not choose the one you decide to choose? And I say, So the Lord make you to choose the one that end up shooting you and killing you in the middle of the night? Either way, men or women. Some people will choose the kind of friends they will have. But you know that the friends you keep are the prophetic word of what you will become. Then they say, show me your friend, I will tell you who you are. It's just a matter of moment. It's a matter of time. You will manifest the kind of friends that you keep. Then that's a choice too. How about those people that get married and they say that, so, this is how many children we want to have, or we don't want to have any child at all. That's a choice. But for every choice you make, how about the choice of whether to buy a house or to rent? Each of them have their own goods and bad, because when you buy a house, you probably, if it has a yard, you need to mow the lawn. If it is an upscale condominium, you don't need to do that, but it's our choice. Everything you do in life is based on the choice you make, and with every choice comes a consequence. Choices have consequences. That is a phrase that we all know so well. It's a phrase that means that every decision people make will have an outcome. And this outcome can be positive or negative. The consequences of choice can be just as tangible as its benefit, and can be sometimes so more so. Salvation is free. We all know that. But choice is a decision we have to make. That means why the act of being saved, that is salvation, which is a God-given gift, it still requires an individual to make a conscious choice to accept the gift. You can be saved without actively deciding to believe in Jesus. You cannot be saved without really actively believing in Jesus. And some school of thought start to say things like, well, because it's a free gift, just given to you. If now we start to put the dimension of you having to choose, then we put a kind of labor on man that it makes it not to be free. That is a wrong theology. It's a free gift, but you have the choice to take it or refuse it. For whosoever believe will not perish. But what if you don't believe? And that's a choice on its own. Salvation is a personal decision. As an individual, you must receive it for yourself. Acts 16:30-31 talks about, and it brought them out when Paul and Silas were supernaturally delivered from jail. Well, the whole thing came crumbling when they put out the midnight worship. And the head of the guard brought them in. It was so, and he brought them out and said, sirs, what must I do to be saved? And they said, believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved, and thy house. What if he choose not to believe? It's a choice. If he choose not to believe, then that's what it is. I read in the book, in the news, just 4 days ago, one of the celebrities, they said that she died after ingesting the venom of something for cleansing, and she died. That's a choice. Now tell me, everything that happened, God knows about it. That's true. But every death, is that God's own ordained thing for people to die? Some that died? Maybe some, yes. Is it all? Some people, as a matter of some bad decision, end up. Go and Google 100 ways to die. Google it. You will see somebody put electric cable together and he wants to electrocute all the fishes, right? So he can have a whole bumper harvest. But he didn't know that he just stepped his foot in the water in the boat that is already electrified and he died. So that's a choice. He chose to do that, and the consequence was that along with the fishes, you two, they all left at the same time. That's his choice. Now, this is what it is in Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. See, I have set before you today life and goodness, as well as disaster. For I am commanding you today to love the Lord your God and walk in his way and keep his commandments, statutes, and ordinances, so that you may live and increase, and the Lord your God may bless you in the land that you are entering to go possess. I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. So now, for those people that are saying that the fact that you have to choose the free gift of salvation means that you are putting labor into it from your end, then what God gives you shouldn't require any kind of labor from your end. So if you have to choose, then it puts some weight on you, then it's not looking like that is wrong. He has made it free, but you have to choose it. You have to choose to be with him. If you choose not to, there is no compulsion. But every choice carries its own benefit consequences. Joshua said in Joshua 24:15, Joshua 24:15, he said, but if it is pleasing in your sight to serve the Lord, then choose for yourself this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your father served beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. As for me and my household, we shall serve the Lord. There's an urge for us to choose. And if we choose right, we will benefit bountifully from the choice we make. But if we choose, see, he comes knocking on the door. You will choose to open the door for him. If you don't, it's your own prerogative. You can choose not to, and he won't come in. But if you choose to, then he will come in. What is it that you want? What are you deciding upon? What are you planning to choose? It's a choice to raise your children in the way of the Lord. It's a choice. It's a choice to hurt yourself, to tumble, to inconvenience yourself, to struggle, to come and serve him. It's a choice to sit home and pop HBO on Sunday. It's a choice. And to every choice carries the benefit, carries the consequence, and carries the reward. Let's see how choice, wrong choice, flip the destiny of a king. Pray for the government. Pray for those in authority. That through wrong choices, they will ruin themselves and ruin nations. Through wrong choices. Come with me to 1 Samuel chapter 15. I'll be skipping some verses just to pull up some key words, key verses. Briefly, this is the story of King Saul. When he received a commandment from God to go and destroy a city. And he went to the city. He carried out the instruction partially. And that is why we say that delayed obedience is disobedience and partial obedience is disobedience. He carried out the task, but he didn't carry it wholeheartedly. He did not complete it as he was instructed, and he did part of it, and he left part undone. And it was not a smooth ending for him. Verse 2, 1 Samuel 15, verse 2. This is what the Lord of hosts says. I witnessed what the Amalekites did to the Israelites when they ambushed them on their way up from Egypt. Now go attack the Amalekites and devote to destruction all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. That's clear-cut instruction. Verse 9. Let me just say that. The mandate is like go and totally clean the place. Everything. Clean it. It's my judgment against a nation that was callous. Simple. And he went. In verse 9, Saul and his troops speared Agag, the king, along with the best of sheep and cattle, the fat cows and lambs, and the best of everything else. They were unwilling to destroy them, but they devoted to destruction all that was despised and worthless. They decided now it's a choice. They spared the king because sparing the king is like a trophy in a battle. I have the king here now serving me. Woo! Right? It's all about flesh. And they spared the big cows, the fat calves, and the ram, and they brought those ones home. And then the Lord tapped Samuel overnight. Hey, look at your boy. See what he did. You see, the Lord oversees. And Samuel confronted him the next day. Let's go on. Verse 14. When he said to Samuel, I have discharged all the things the Lord asked us to do. Then Samuel said, then what is the bleating of sheep and lowing of cattle that I hear? And Saul answered in 15, the troops brought them from the Amalekites. They spared the best sheep and the cattle to sacrifice to the Lord your God, but the rest were devoted to destruction. I have an idea that is better than God's idea. That is what Saul is saying. So when we say disobedience, is you give excuse for not doing what you say. So when you start to give excuse, it's just justification for your failure. You justify, you corner it, you cover it, you wrap it, but the fact is that you did not do exactly what you were asked to do. So when he said all that, Saul was upset. Samuel was upset and he said, stop, exclaimed Samuel. Let me tell you what the Lord said to me last night. Everything what I do today. You see, sometimes God will wait for the time that you give attention to him to talk back to you. Most of the time for me, it's in the twilight. 6-ish. Sometimes 5:30 you wake up. You just don't know what wakes you up. Listen. And in the morning, he told Samuel, this is what Saul did. And Samuel was upset because he understands the consequence of disobeying God. So then he went. He said, tell me. He said, let me tell you what the Lord said to me last night. Saul said, tell me. Does the Lord delight in burnt offering and sacrifices as much as in obedience to his voice? Behold, obedience is better than sacrifice, and attentiveness is better than the fat of rams. It's not done yet. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance is like wickedness of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. Deep consequence. The stakes are high. My choice today can bless me in the future and can ruin me. See, how many people you must have heard this said in some areas after attending a class, after attending taking a course, after attending an institution of learning. And people say, or after applying for this job, he said, I thank God that I decided to go through this route. Have you ever heard people say that? I thank God that I married this man. I thank God that I took that course. I thank God that I applied for this course. I thank God that I attended this school. I thank God that because at the end of the decision, there was a real tangible reward. And I said, when my friend said I should take this course, maybe cybersecurity or maybe Scrum Master, maybe some, and I was so reluctant, but I thank God that I listened. Have you heard people say things like that? Reward of good choice. And at the same time, I regret doing this. Reward of a bad choice. But let me tell you, in between the good and bad, sometimes the difference can be so blurry. So one that makes a bad choice and suffering consequence of a bad choice, don't castigate, don't blame them. Because in between can be so blurry that you don't know. Now, that is where the concept of mentoring becomes very necessary. That is why the concept of looking ahead and looking towards those that are ahead of you in the area that you want to pursue, to be able to start to watch them and understudy them becomes necessary. In the area of ministry, you need somebody that can mentor you. Don't think you know it until you step into it. It does not matter how much you know of the word, how much you counsel people. It does not matter. By the time you step into pastoring, it's a different ballgame. A pastor said that he would never allow anyone that is not a pulpit pastor to minister in his church. He said because they can never understand the pain of leading a congregation, whether 20 or 1,000. Those one can come and lead in his preaching his church because they've already gone through the experience of pastoring. I struggled a lot of time to be able to gain something from Bishop Harry Jackson, which I eventually did when I was the teacher assistant for 1 year, teaching new converts class. Because the one that is mentoring you can tell you when you get to the fork in the road. He said, well, I did this turn, it cost me 5 years in ministry. So avoid this pit hole, do this way. You need mentoring in the area that you want to go. If you want to do fashion show, what do you call this work? This Broadway work or catwalk? Look for people ahead of you in that field. Try to learn from them. Try to learn from their mistakes so you don't fall into that mistake that you're trying to avoid. Sometimes the decision in between the two, the difference between the two might be so blurry that you don't know. You may end up want to close your eyes and say, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. It is that difficult. Now, let's see two individuals that found themselves in a very difficult spot. Now, to come back now will require some serious God-led choices. The first one is Peter, and the second one is Judas. Peter denied Jesus, Judas betrayed Jesus. Both were in a very difficult position. You believe that? They both found themselves in terrible spots. The way their ordeal ended. Here, choice played a major role. After denying Jesus 3 times, Peter reacted with deep remorse and wept bitterly, realizing he had fulfilled Jesus' prophecy about him denying and feeling the weight of his action, particularly when the rooster crowed. He felt the weight and the pain. He wept bitterly. The scholars saw this as repentance for Peter. And he came back. He rose back from that guilt and he continued to serve Jesus. Don't forget that Jesus has already predicted that upon this rock shall I build my church. He fulfilled that prophecy too again. So what happened to Judas? Judas, after betraying Jesus, was filled with remorse, just like the other one. He even returned the money to the synagogue. To those people. I said, I don't want this money. They said, no, take it, we don't need it. And he threw it down and he left. He was very sorrowful for his offense. Now, let me tell you something about Judas that a lot of people may not understand why. He didn't expect that Jesus will die. He knew Jesus was not ordinary man. Because he saw when Jesus raised the dead child of the widow at the entrance of the city and woke him to life. He saw when Jesus commanded the fish with the money to pay the tithe. He saw when Jesus preached in the synagogue and the man with the withered hand he healed on a Sunday, and they were upset with him and they took him to the cliff of the city upon which the city was built, and they wanted to cast him out, and he saw how he just and came out of it. You remember all those stories? He believed that I just want to grab some little money, just enrich my pocket a little bit, because this Jesus, they can't touch him. And it was true. They couldn't touch him because he said, nobody takes my life, I lay it down. Right? So that was his own understanding for selling out Jesus to enrich his pocket. But when they held him, and he just followed them like sheep, being led to be slaughtered, and he uttered no word, he felt remorse. But what was his choice? I can't be reconnected again. I can't reconnect to him again. I can't be accepted again. And he chose to go up and hang himself. See, two people, two different outcomes because of the choices they made. You see that? Choice will determine your entire life. I'm preaching, it's showing me something else. Yeah. So which is the way out? Psalm 119 verse 9 says, which is the way out? If we say the difference between good and bad choice, it might be so blurry. In a way, sometimes you might not be so clear to know that this is the way. But now in Psalm 119 verse 9 says, how can a young man keep his way pure? How can a young man choose constantly so that his way will be pure and blameless? It says it's by keeping watch on himself according to your word, conforming his life to your precept. That is Amplified Bible. How can a young man keep his way? It's by keeping it according to your word. How can a young man? Because the choices are so numerous. I was at one of the TV station meeting on Wednesday. On Thursday. And it's like a community board meeting. And that was their first, that was their new site in Nebraska Avenue. That is NBC Channel 4. So when we got there, they want us, they fix up boxes of lunch. They fix us lunch. And then, there's a lot of avocado with this and this with that and different things, and a salad, pure salad, vegan and all that. It's all over the place, and they stack it up. And I was following a Asian lady. And she went back, and she said, I don't even know what to choose. It's a whole lot of good food, but one box you pick has chips in it. It has different things in it. And I mean, it's like, You can't even finish the lunch. And she said that she went all the way and she came back again and she said, I don't even know what. I said, well, I'm choosing the wheat bread with the avocado grain. And I said, this is what I'm taking. She looked at it and she went. She said, sometimes the difference can be blurry. You don't know which to choose. And you won't know which to choose. Is this fine lady that I never bothered to study whether she's got character? Or this one that seemed too quiet? Not all that as shapy as her, but it's your choice, so it's not mine. It's not mine. And some people will come and say, Pastor, I'm thinking about this. And then they let the Lord speak. Whatever. When you come to the pastor, set your mind free. That maybe I will let this go. I won't hold on to one not unnecessarily too tightly. When you come to God, you already say, Lord, just endorse it. But say, hey, don't, this one. It's tall and it's so, hey, see, Lord, just endorse it for me. Yeah. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and say, God, is it this or not? My heart wants to go after those that raided Ziklag. That's David talking. I know I'm a man. I never lose a battle. I'm not going to say, hey, okay, God, should I go? Decision. God, choose for me. Should I go? But what if God said don't go? He won't go. And the one that said don't go can come in a way and paralyze those people and release them without them knowing it. If you acknowledge him, he will direct. That is another way out. It's Psalm 119 and verse 66 says, teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I believe in your commandment. How do you understand how to lead? How do you understand what to choose if you are void of the word? The word is what will point you. It will talk to you from the volume of the book. This is what Solomon said to God. He said, so give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. The spirit of discernment is the spirit that will help you to distinguish, to sort out the wheat from the grain. But if you are void of the word, to you everything will look the same. And more so, the wrong way will look more enticing. And at the end of the day, it comes down to choice. Psalm 12, verse 26. The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads astray. Let me tell you about your friends. You can't make it through with a congregation of bad, corrupt friends. Because your friends today are a prophetic pointer to what will become tomorrow. And that too is a choice. If you are truly discerning, you will know.
Thank you for listening to our broadcast here at the Fountain of Life, Grace Springs Church. We pray that you've been encouraged and uplifted by the word. Please visit our website at tfolgs.org. We'd like to invite you to connect with us throughout the week. Join us for Bible study every Monday at 7 p.m. on Zoom and midweek service every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. If you'd like to give to this ministry, check out our QR code for ways to give. Until we meet again, may God's grace, peace, and blessings be with you.